Thank you for joining us again and welcome back to our channel. Make no mistake, the country of Togo is making headlines for the wrong reasons. It's important to understand that the country of Togo makes its geopolitical partners like France to look good. The situation in Togo is brewing gradually. Make no mistake, the same trend, the same trajectory, the current issues happening in the country of Togo and the move that Togo has taken is similar to what happened in the country of Guinea. It is important to note that the strategic partners are observing the events in Togo at the moment, and Ecowas is sleeping low. It's making no comment at the moment. Tomorrow, we start talking about the reason why countries across the Sahel are going their own way. The continent of Africa is facing tremendous challenges with a burgeoning population and a growing middle class. The situation in Togo at the moment should be handled carefully because the global partners are observing. Later we talk about sanctions. Now that things are being put into place that may ignite a situation, a geopolitical crisis that may come up in the future, no one is talking about. Where do we start in Togo? The situation in Togo is not looking so good. It might be cozy at the moment, but more importantly, Togo is a diverse country. And again, the countries are observing, regional partners are observing and making no comment. So the big question is, where do we start with regards to this particular episode? A lot to cover, but we don't want to waste your time. I want to take you 9 months back to let you know where things stand, and then I'll bring you back in the past couple of days. Let's play this clip.
And moving to West Africa, Togo's president has signed a new constitution that eliminates presidential elections. Instead, it allows the country's parliament to choose the president. Now, this comes just 2 days after his party won a majority in the parliamentary polls. Now, opposition parties have called the reform a political maneuver to allow the president to extend his decades-long tenure. So what exactly does the new constitution say, and how could it help the Togolese president? Our next report goes into detail.
The West African nation of Togo is surrounded by a controversy over constitutional reform. Togo's president, Faure Gnassingbé, has signed a new constitution that eliminates presidential elections, and critics say the move will allow him to extend his family's 6-decade-long rule. So what exactly does Togo's new constitution say? Well, the Togolese parliament will now have the power to choose the president instead of direct elections. The new constitution also creates a role similar to a prime minister. This post is called the President of the Council of Ministers, which will be taken by Gnassingbé and could give additional powers to him. In addition, the new constitution increases the presidential term from 5 to 6 years. It does introduce a single term limit for the president. However, this doesn't take into account almost 20 years that Gnassingbé has already served in office. Now, Togo's opposition parties claim the role is designed for Gnassingbé to evade presidential term limits and extend his family's political dynasty.
It is important to know that the country of Togo is making some strategic move that to an extent may plunge the country in the future. I wonder what the particular country may not have achieved for the past centuries, that this particular country is about to make moves, already making some moves that may not sit very popular across a number of that country's population. It is important that African nations should observe their particular move, because at the time that the decisions are being made, the global community is watching. The situation in Togo is not so cozy. It might be looking nice for those who are eating fat, those who are feeling fine.
Protesters in Togo are speaking out against constitutional changes that could keep Faure Gnassingbé in power indefinitely. He's been sworn in as President of the Council of Ministers, a newly created role with no term limit.
The Togolese leader, Faure Gnassingbé, was sworn in as President of the Council of Ministers, a new post which is the highest office in the government's executive branch and has no official term limits. This follows constitutional reform that ended presidential elections and introduced a parliamentary system. The opposition said the change was in order to allow President Nasingbe to stay in power indefinitely. His family has ruled the country for 58 years. Faure Nasingbe took over in 2005 from his father, Nasingbe Eyadema, who had ruled for almost 4 decades.
We are living through a remarkable time in our country's history. In Togo's history, the change of republic, as we are at the 5th one, has been quite rare. Having the chance, even the grace, to experience this transition to the 5th Republic with the swearing in of the first council president in our country is a remarkable moment for each of us and for our compatriots.
The latest change results from a new constitution approved by lawmakers last year, labelled by critics and opposition figures as an institutional coup d'etat. Nasingbe's government had paused some of the changes following a huge backlash, but has moved ahead with his new role. Togo's municipal elections in July will be the first under the new constitution, which has replaced the presidential system with a parliamentary one. In theory, the role of the President of the Republic is now only an honorary title, but analysts say Nasingbe's power is more entrenched than ever with his new post of Council President. His party, the Union for the Republic, won a huge majority in last year's parliamentary election, taking 108 out of 113 seats in the National Assembly. Critics see the political changes as just a means for Nasingbe to extend his grip on power. Several hundred people have gathered in the Togolese capital Lome to denounce changes to the constitution.
Faure Nasingbe is a loner. When he was sworn in yesterday, which presidents came to support him? No sitting president came to watch his pantomime. In the history of the world, people never lies down for good. There will come a time when the Togolese people will stand up and say no to Faure Nasingbe.
The aim is to mobilize the Togolese people against the imposture of the installation of the 5th Republic.
It is important to understand that France, to an extent, looks so good in regards to what's happening there, because France will say, I told you guys, because we do have our influence to an extent. But at the end of the day, the political system, a system that is built for not an inclusivity, a system that is built not to allow flexibility, a system that is built that does not allow voices to come forward to make incredible suggestion or make critical decision, is not bound to succeed to an extent. The termism in the continent of Africa is causing confusion across Africa's geopolitical spectrum. What is the reason? What is essential with regards to this? Is this the only way? Don't we understand the difficulties that the region is facing? Don't we understand the current geopolitical tension that at the moment Ecowas is facing regards to the countries of the Sahel? Who is pulling the string in Togo? Is this really realistic? Is this really happening? Africa, we have to pay attention in history. The geopolitical situation in that region is not looking beautiful at the moment. It may sound rosy in the news channels. However, it's important to know that events like these only send the signal out there to geostrategic partner who in the future will come leveling sanctions. But at the moment, no one is talking about it. The situation in Togo, the steps being taken, the moves at the moment with regards to terrorism is difficult.
For Esonzimina Nasingbe, who has been in power since succeeding his father back in 2005, was sworn in on Saturday as Togo's president of the Council of Ministers. This is the country's top executive office in the new parliamentary system. Now, the swearing-in followed the resignation of the Prime Minister and Cabinet late Friday. It's a role abolished by the new constitutional text and the major constitutional reform first implemented on the 5th of May 2024 transitioned Togo from a presidential to a parliamentary system. The presidency was stripped of executive power, with all governing authority now vested in the newly empowered president of the Council of Ministers. Also, 86-year-old Jean-Lucien Kwasi Sabide-Tove, a former opposition leader and ex-minister, was elected unanimously as Togo's new ceremonial head of state, marking a significant change under the country's revised constitution.
It is important to know that the continent of Africa must approach strategic situations like this very cautiously. Ecowas should come up clear and make sure that this particular move in the Ecowas constitution, I think countries cannot have that influence to talk to fellow nations. I'm sure if I'm wrong, correct me about that. But again, the events that have happened in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, who knows what's going to happen in the future, because these are very tense moments and the continent of Africa is facing incredible challenges, economic issues, and more importantly, the continent of African nations and also those individuals in West Africa and the citizens around this region understand the incredible challenges that their own economies are facing, and the population are asking questions for the first time. And for a particular regime to start thinking that this direction is the right way to go, that to an extent to sideline, to lead forever. What is wrong with terrorism? Forever ruling is not a solution in the 21st century. There are challenges involved here. So it's important for the country of Togo and the community around this region to pay closer attention on what's happening at the moment. Let it not be in the future. Then we start saying that we're going to sanction, we're going to make decisions based on emotions. The things are brewing in the country at the moment and no one is paying attention. This is the problem with French West Africa, because to an extent, the decisions are not always directed to the benefits of the nationals and the citizens. It's always at the end, then you can blame it to someone. The situation in Togo at the moment are not looking rosy, are not looking cozy. It's a difficult moment for this particular country, but we all are observing this and looking at it. It's very normal. Africa, you got to get your acts together, because your geopolitical partners are observing. They are watching very closely. If you to an extent abuse the opportunity and the changes that we are seeing in the region and not maintain that particular trajectory to growth and development and harmonizing your population, working together, making sure that your people are your particular shield, then there will be a problem in the future. Let me know what you think in regards to the move that Togo at the moment is making. If this could be a very dangerous move by the country of Togo in terms of its own expansion and looking at the powers that have been given and abolishing of the presidential powers, moving to the parliamentary system. It is a new move. What's going on in that country? The only question I can ask, that what is actually wrong with terrorism in some countries, French-speaking nations? This movie that is playing in the country of Togo, we've seen it over and over, and it's just the beginning. Who knows what's going to happen? These are dangerous moves. They are threatening a very delicate part in the country of Togo at the moment. The situation in the Sahel has not calmed down. I want to see you write in the comment section and let me know if these particular steps may result to something in the future. I will be looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Have a good day. Bye-bye.